We managed to trade for Mo Bamba just like they did in real life. Sadly, they did not keep him. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to stay put. He got traded for Drew Eubanks as well, just like in real life. Going up against the Pelicans. This is a New Orleans Pelicans special because this is a back-to-back against them. And with that, I'm going to talk about how they're faring this season and all of the things that have happened with them. So let me just go straight to the point. They were supposed to be one of the next upcoming teams. Even from a few years ago, they have a franchise superstar in Zion Williamson. But then it just doesn't feel like he's been living up to their expectations. And most of it is not even his fault. As the number one pick in the 2019 draft, he was supposed to be next up. He was hyped up during his years in Duke University. His college highlights were genuinely insane. Like he is a freakishly athletic, big body dude. Like he looks like a bodybuilder. He looks like someone who would lift weights every so often, like around a 150-pound dumbbell. And his athleticism, combined with that frame of his, it would make him one of the best players of all time. The only problem he had was he didn't really have a outside jumper. And while he can make them on occasion, he's not someone who can be considered a threat from beyond the arc. And that's what limited him to becoming greater than he should have been. But also, the most important reason as to why he hasn't lived up to the expectations was he was perpetually injured. When you think about it, his first few years in the NBA, he missed most of his rookie season due to a torn meniscus. It was an injury that he suffered in the preseason in his rookie campaign. He was able to make it to action a few months later. That was his NBA debut, and his NBA debut had a lot of people hyped. And in his first game ever, he was making a lot of his wide open threes, and it had people believing that his jump shot was going to be very well adjusted to the NBA environment, that maybe the lack of jump shooting wouldn't be that much of a problem as long as he at least is a willing shooter and he can at least become an average one. But even then, his development has been constantly stunted due to the amount of injuries that he had. It even cost him to miss a full season, which was in the 2021-22 season. And he was looking to be fully back the year after, until the end of the season where he got a season-ending injury yet again. And it's been a never-ending cycle ever since, because it still hasn't changed quite a bit even the year after that. Like, even in his healthiest season, which was the 23-24 season, it was going to be his first playoff appearance like ever. He had a great play-in game against the Lakers. He scored 40 points there. And then all of a sudden, he got injured again. So it cost him to miss the next play-in game because the Lakers won against the Pelicans in that game. And then when they did make it to the playoffs, they got swept by the Thunder. And imagine if Zion played in that Thunder series, how much different it would have been. I don't think the Pelicans would have won that because the Thunder were a very good team despite the lack of experience that they had. But it would have changed things for the Pelicans if Zion just did not get injured. Maybe it could have helped the Pelicans win against the Lakers instead of them losing. I don't know. But even then, it caused a lot of questions to be asked about New Orleans as to whether they should have Zion Williams as the face of the Pelicans franchise for the very future, or is he going to be moved on at some point? And speaking of injuries, the Pelicans have been hit with a lot of them this season, including one of their newcomers, DeJounte Murray, who got traded from the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Dyson Daniels, who was a top 10 pick selected by the Pelicans back in 2022, and Larry Nance Jr. DeJounte Murray was supposed to be a lot of help for New Orleans due to his secondary shot creating ability and his perimeter defense. But just a few weeks ago, he had a season-ending torn Achilles injury playing against the Boston Celtics. And it was just only one of those injuries that set the Pelicans back this season. And it was looking like they were supposed to have a redemption arc where after a disappointing first-round series loss to the Thunder, they were making changes to the roster to help improve things. But even then, it didn't really matter because they've been having a lot of people who is in and out of the lineups due to these injuries. And the Pelicans overall haven't been doing very well. They're currently the last place in the West. So it's a lost season. And they're going to have to retool yet again to try and get back into the playoff mix for next season. But their progression has been non-existent ever since Zion got drafted. So it's been so much of a waste. Got subbed out at the 5-minute mark. I did not play for the rest of the fourth quarter. We won the first meeting. It was also a key game, so I managed to accomplish that. Our second meeting against the Pelicans, though, it was so much better. And if you watch the rest of this game, you'll see how close they kept it. And it's been a lot more entertaining than the game where we just blew them out of the water. And this was also the game where Markkanen was injured, so I decided not to start him. Brandon Ingram scored on that possession, and Brandon Ingram is actually someone I need to talk about because they actually moved on from him. It was supposed to be a core of Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram for the future. Then they decided, yeah, that's enough. We're not going to move forward with those two as the duo. We're keeping Zion, but Brandon Ingram, it's time to go. They moved him to the Toronto Raptors in exchange for Bruce Brown. And look at that right there. Walker Kessler made a post fadeaway. That's not something you see him do very often. Because whenever you watch him play for the Jazz, he's mostly on the pick and roll, getting dunks and catching lobs, putback slams. So yeah, that was a highlight that I needed to show because that was so hilarious. CJ McCollum dunks over me. I am so angry. I decided to go all the way and slam it down. I was so salty that CJ McCollum dunked that one that I had to go all the way to the basket out of frustration. And Brandon Ingram answers back with a pull-up 3 of his own. His improvement ever since moving on from the Lakers has been very good. He's been having a lot of KD comparisons by the media when he was drafted number 2 back in 2017. Going to stop for a moment to show a clip. Alley-oop it to Mo Bamba, our newest addition. That's the first time I played with him in this game. And he's going to be very good for us in the Jazz. I kind of wish they kept him, but I cannot edit the rosters in my career mode, so he's stuck with us. But he'll be very good. Back to Brandon Ingram though. His rookie season has been very disastrous. A lot of people have been sending him a lot of slander Even death threats have been included. Because Lakers fans, they're not keen on seeing player development. They want to see championships. Because the Lakers are a franchise known for winning a lot of championships. They have 17 right now as a franchise from the year 1947 until now, and the expectation for the Lakers every year is a championship, regardless of how bad the roster is. Player development, be damned. Because, big market teams, high expectations, meaning you're going to be expecting a lot of disappointment from that certain team. For a team that wants more and more championships, especially compared to their rival, the Boston Celtics. And look at that! That's the reason why I believe Mo Bamba's going to be great for us, because he has the extra length. We already have a premier shot blocker in Walker Kessler, but that length is going to be a much needed luxury for us. And Colin Sexton, he made that three. He's been playing very well for us in this 2 Pelicans games. He missed it that time, but Walker Kessler is right there for the rebound, leading to that John Collins 3. Man, the Pelicans are just having no answers for us. I kind of feel bad for Pelicans fans. It's been disappointment after disappointment every season that goes on. That Zion Williamson draft pick had a lot of hope that they were going to be much more competitive. They were going to compete against a lot of the contenders in this league. But sadly, a lot of those years have been wasted. Even when they did have a lot of the good picks in the draft, like Trey Murphy, who is improving on the shot creating end, and Herbert Jones, an elite defender who's been improving on his threes every year that passes. And just to interrupt this program, to say I challenged that call on that Walker Kessler foul. I felt like it was a bad call because he was straight up when I checked the replay. So light the lamp. Like, he was straight up. That should not be called a foul.
We've seen replay reviews so effectively. After review, the ruling on the floor stands.
The call still stood even after that. Like, how? How is that a foul? I get subbed out after that, and now we're trailing by 4 points. This is an unbelievable sequence of events right there. How did our team not hold on in the minutes when I get to the bench? Walker Kessler blocks that layup, going the other way. I pass it to Colin Sexton. We gotta find good shots out here because we're down. We don't want to take a lot of bad shots, wasting a lot of those possessions. Going to wait for those 2 screens, which would mean Colin Sexton is wide open for the 3. He's been playing well for us. I'm going to say it again. These 2 games against the Pelicans that he's played, he's been very good. That was a bad pass. I shouldn't have called for that one. It leads to a wide open fast break dunk. Can't make a lot of more mistakes going forward as Brandon Ingram is trying to come up clutch for this Pelicans team. He goes up for the layup, a contested one, and he still makes it. Man, you gotta commend his development. Like, he was supposed to help this Pelicans team going forward, but he's no longer a member of the Pelicans, so they just have to move on. I wonder how he's going to be able to fit with the Raptors. It's going to be very clunky in my opinion because they have a lot of big wings right now. Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. They're just 2 of them. And how is Brandon Ingram going to fit with Toronto? Are they going to have Scotty Barnes as the full-time point forward? Because they've been playing Scotty Barnes as the point forward for most of the season. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how Brandon Ingram's going to fit with the Raptors going forward. I wonder what Masai Ujiri's thought process is in getting Brandon Ingram. I hope it's a good one. Since our back-to-back games in this video was played in New Orleans, I wanted to mention the fact that the Super Bowl was played in New Orleans, and it was a disappointment. It was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was a shocker. The Chiefs got blown out by the Eagles. The Eagles just dominated from start to finish. The Eagles' defense was shutting down every offensive drives for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes was kind of laying an egg. He did not play very well, but it's not all his fault. His offensive line was super trash. They kept on allowing the defenders to tackle him so much easier than they should. And the offense, on the other hand, Jalen Hurts has been making all the right reads. They were get their best wide receiver in Saquon Barkley open in every play that they ran. But the Chiefs were super determined on trying to shut all of these down. Except Jalen Hurts just made the Chiefs pay every single time. Speaking of making someone pay, Zion Williamson was on me. I get past him in isolation, taking advantage of his poor perimeter defense. Enough of the football topics for now. I should talk about football when I'm playing Madden. I only wanted to talk about the Super Bowl because it was played in New Orleans, and New Orleans was where our games were played, so that's the reason. I'm thinking of doing a Madden NFL series one of these days. Maybe this year, Madden 26. But I'm going to think about a possibility because I have a lot of gameplay backlogs that I want to do. I still have yet to do some of the playthroughs that I wanted to do. I have Final Fantasy 7 series. That was my goal for this year. I wanted to complete the Final Fantasy 7 series as of right now, from Remake to Rebirth and even Crisis Core. I have a Crisis Core series that I have yet to complete as we leave CJ McCollum wide open for no reason at all. Back to my regularly scheduled program. John Collins made a mid-range shot to give us a 4-point lead. We have to make sure we don't give up any more open threes. Just watch Brandon Ingram at his play. BC, their rookie, sets the screen. He posts up from mid-range. He's been making a lot of mid-range shots today in that game, that second meeting. That's the reason why that game was so much better than the last meeting that we had. I tried to pull up in CJ McCollum's face. I missed it instead. It was very tight coverage. I steal it from Herbert Jones. He does that cheese animation where it makes it so much easier for you to steal it from the opponent. That's an easy steal every time. My player actually averages 3 steals a game. The same average as the current league leader in steals in real life, Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels has been very good for the Hawks. And he should be glad that he's traded to the Hawks, because he even said in an interview that the Pelicans are a cursed organization. And I honestly agree with him in that, because every single injury that the Pelicans have suffered this year, they've been very unfortunate. But you also have to question the medical staff, as these injuries have been happening at an alarming rate. It feels so unrealistic for all these injuries to happen consecutively. CJ McCollum missed several games. DeJounte Murray, as I said a while ago, out for the season with the Achilles. Zion Williamson has been having A lot of injuries yet again this season. He was initially out indefinitely at November, and it looked like his career was coming to an end. Even though fortunately he came back. But there were also several videos of him looking bloated, and it had a lot of people questioning his love for the game, his general attitude when it comes to the sport of basketball, and a lot of people were concerned about how he's treating his conditioning as to why he's being perpetually injured. He looks to be in much better shape now. What will it matter at the end though? Will he stay healthier this time? Or will his injury still come back? Because it really doesn't matter how built he is, how lean or how muscular he actually is. His health has been his downfall. Like seriously. 15 seconds left in the game. Brandon Ingram, we know he's going to take that shot. He's been cooking us for the game. He misses a wide open layup. Man, that was a fumble right there. He had 39 points in this game. And then in the clutch, he just choked this game away. This is a fumble. It is a unfortunate sequence of events right there. I get fouled. I had to go to the free throw line playing the free throw game. I shoot the first one and I make it slightly early, 90%. 2K's been trying to cheese me. They're trying to make sure to do everything possible to prevent me from getting that 50-40-90, where I shoot 50% for the field, 40% from 3, and most importantly, 90% from the free throw line. We win this game in close fashion. Nobody scored 100 points. This is like a playoff game at the end. But we managed to survive that. It was a great one. So, with 30 seconds, and look, another fail. I'm at 11, 10 seconds to go. I'm still at 2 stars. Oh, another fail. I'm at 12. Come on, 5 seconds. I am so lucky enough to get the 3rd star at the end of that workout. So, that was so much different.